Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome to our Week 15 Steelers recap. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with Jay Dash. The Pittsburgh Steelers chipped away at the Cincinnati Bengals and beat them 24-20. A lot of people are saying the only reason we won was Boswell. Number one, he's part of the team. Number two, F you. And Burfict tried to injure a couple people. And in all honesty, does this game mean anything considering the real matchup is next week, Christmas Day, against the Ravens?
Yeah, it definitely meant something to Pittsburgh, obviously. If they'd have lost that game, they'd be hurting right now. But Boswell was a huge reason they won that game. I think he had 230-some, 260-some, I forget what it was, yards in field goals. Ridiculous, man.
Ball.
That dude, he's had a quiet season, not necessarily a bad season. He hasn't been great either. Last season, we were talking about him a lot, but really had a quiet season this year, and he came up really big in this game, obviously, man. He had a few 49-yard field goals.
Yeah, he had a 45, a 49, a 49, a 40, a 49, and a 30.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Why do people say, the kicker won you the game, you didn't really win the game? What the hell is the kicker? The kicker is your kicker who's part of your team. So who gives a crap? Obviously, you want to score touchdowns. Obviously, both of us would have rather have seen the Steelers go down and even score two of those times would have been fine. You know what I mean? With the amount of points that they put up. As long as you're getting points, that's still okay. But I'm not going to sit here and get all hung up because the reason we scored was the kicker. We got him in range, the kid made it, and we won the football game. Sometimes you got to win ugly.
Yeah, and they scored the touchdown they needed in the end of the game to Eli Rogers. They had a touchdown called back, which was a good call. Le'Veon Bell went low on that one guy to call back a touchdown that Antonio Brown scored. But you also got to remember, this offense put Chris Boswell in field goal position 6 times. They scored 7 times in this game. Now, if they just scored one more touchdown, 2 more touchdowns instead of field goals, like you were saying, then you're over 30 points and you're talking about a good game. But scoring 7 times in one game is great. But yeah, you got to get in the end zone a little bit more.
During this 5-game winning streak, what is the most impressive thing to you, Dash?
I would say the most impressive is the defense for sure and how they stepped up over this winning streak. But you got to look at the offensive side as well. And Le'Veon Bell has carried this team offensively. It's all Le'Veon Bell anymore. And in fact, he had 93 yards rushing in this game. I asked you over or under 23 carries before the game. He ended up having exactly 23 carries. But
push.
Yeah, he's been used a ton over this winning streak, obviously. And I'm a little bit worried about it going into the playoffs, like I said last week or the week before or whatever, because we haven't seen him healthy for the playoffs over the past couple seasons. So I think we need to back off him a little bit over these last 2 games to make sure he is healthy going into the playoffs, because he is the offense right now. Now, I was happy with how Big Ben scattered the ball around a little bit more than he usually did because Antonio Brown didn't come up with as big of a game. But the most impressive thing to me has to be this defense and the way these young guys have stepped up in the secondary. And with the injuries, Cameron Hayward goes down. Now Stephon Tuitt looks like he's beat up. Is he going to be able to play?
He's probable right now. They said it's kind of a 50-50 shot as of right now.
So even with these injuries, Cameron Hayward, we were talking about maybe the most important player on his defense earlier in the season. I think you even asked me a question, who's more important, Ben Roethlisberger to the offense or Cameron Hayward to the defense? Yeah. Cameron Hayward goes down, and this defense is still playing at a high level.
The first thing I want to say is the biggest reason Le'Veon's been being used a lot, I think, is because D'Angelo Williams has been out. And I read an article earlier that says he will play 100% next week. So I think you'll see a lessened workload for Le'Veon if D'Angelo is really healthy. The second thing, for me, the most impressive part of this 5-game winning streak is that 4 of these games have been on the road. We get on the Steelers a lot because they struggle on the road. The offense doesn't score a lot of points, and they've won these games kind of ugly. Even that Cleveland game, they should have blown Cleveland out. They did not. I guess they kind of blew out the Colts, but the Colts had a jabroni at quarterback. But the Buffalo game, the Cincinnati game, these are tough football games. I'm happy to see them win these tough football games because that's what happens in the playoffs. You don't just go blow somebody out. Everybody's good in the playoffs, and I like to see the tenacity of this football team. They didn't quit. And as far as the most important player to the defense, we were saying it was Cam Hayward earlier. Since being inserted into the starting lineup, rookie Sean Davis played 299 of 299 snaps. The Steelers are 5-0. He's also played 43 snaps on special teams. That was from Mark Cabali.
Beast mode.
So this guy has really made an impact on this defense early in a career. It's only 14 games into this guy's career. He was being used as the nickel corner early in the season, if you remember. And we said that we would like to see him more as a safety, let him get into his natural position and thrive. They finally ended up doing that, and this guy's really helped turn it around.
Yeah, he's taken off. But I will say, you mentioned D'Angelo Williams. When he comes back healthy, they thought maybe it could have been last week, and it does look like it's going to be this week. But we even seen when he's healthy, man, they don't use him if Le'Veon Bell's healthy and playing in the game and not suspended.
I agree. I just think in this one game they might go a little bit just because of the huge workload Le'Veon's had. So I think maybe you might end up seeing a game where he gets 20 rushes, which is a light workload for him.
Yeah, for him it is. For the rest of the NFL, it's still a pretty heavy workload, and that's exactly what Jeremy Hill had in this game. 20 carries, but he only ended up with 43 yards, less than you even said. I think you said 50-some, maybe even 60. But he did score that touchdown you were talking about as well, but they shut down the run game very well. Rex Burkhead was the best player in this game to me. This guy was making plays offensively, and if it wasn't for him, this offense would have looked terrible. But you look at our defense, the only reason they let up 20 points on the first drive of the game, Stephon Tuitt got called for that face mask on it was a 3rd and long actually. It would have made it 4th down, and since he would have had the pump, but Stephon Tuitt had the face mask, they drove down the field, kicked the field goal there, and then I think it was their first touchdown. It might have been their second touchdown where they just went deep and Artie Burns just ran straight into the wide receiver. I forget who it was. And Artie Burns is a young guy. He's going to make some mistakes or whatever, so I'm not completely mad with him. But they got off to a slow start just because of those 2 penalties. But I tell you what, this game, it seemed called unfair to me, really. It seemed like Cincinnati was committing penalties that should have been called that weren't being called all throughout this game.
And Cincinnati fans are saying that they got called for too much and that the refs didn't call the Steelers for anything.
See, that's ridiculous to me. There's no way. Pittsburgh was getting called for a good bit. They had a lot of penalties in this game, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a decent amount, 7 for 104 yards. The 104 yards is mostly because of, like you said, that deep pass when Artie Burns got penalized for pass interference.
But yeah, that's how quickly a game can turn in a tight game like this. 2 defensive penalties can turn a game just like that, but you take those away, man. They let up 10 other points, and his defense still no more than 20 points in any win this season.
It's crazy. When they were already up 20 to whatever it was, I was worried. What was it, 20-9 at halftime? And I just kind of thought, it's not looking good. Roethlisberger's looking shaky. It's going to be hard. And then they just kept chipping away with Le'Veon and chipping away with Le'Veon and chipping away with Le'Veon. And I even said to my girlfriend watching the game, I said, I can't believe they're running the football so much with Le'Veon being behind. Is Roethlisberger still hurt? Why didn't they air it out? I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just curious. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
I know he threw the ball 36 times, but you can't tell me that earlier in the season or last season, if we would have been in that position, Roethlisberger would have threw the ball 50 times.
Yeah, he probably would have, and they'd have probably lost the game as well because Todd Haley's crazy.
Right. So, like, what's changed? You know what I mean? Did somebody say something to Haley? Did Haley finally smarten up? Are they letting Ben make more of the calls? Like, I'm just curious. Since this 5-game winning streak started, you said it earlier, it's been all Le'Veon. So what has changed?
Yeah, well, Le'Veon's proven to be the best running back in the league, and I guess when he's healthy, like you said, when Tomlin likes to run his running backs into the ground, and I guess that's what they're going to do. Just he might be the best offensive player in the NFL, so just run him in the ground right now.
Roethlisberger said he should be the MVP.
Well, if he didn't miss those 3 games, I might agree with him, but I can't say that after he missed the beginning of the season. But he's
I
definitely
think he's leading the league in yards from scrimmage still after missing 3
he
games.
probably is. I wouldn't doubt it at all, man.
He's going at a record pace. He's averaging more yards from scrimmage than any other player in NFL history over the first 4 years of his career. Literally, it's more than Jim Brown, more than Barry Sanders, more than any of those guys.
And I believe Antonio Brown set a record for a 4-year span. Most catches, I believe it
Yep,
is, in a
most
4-year
catches
span.
in a 4-year span by any player in NFL history.
So
Never
it's nice.
thought that would be a Steeler.
It's nice, but again, they're averaging, 24 points per game, something around there, so.
Which is why I don't care that there's talk that you said before there was talk about Haley as a head coach somewhere, and I didn't hear it. Now I'm hearing it. Haley to Jacksonville a lot.
I'm not going to say good riddance because actually this season I'm finally warming up to Haley being the offensive coordinator because I think you're right. They do let Big Ben do more of the play calling and everything, and it just seems like just don't change anything at this point because really when we get a new offensive coordinator, I like him less and less. I think it's over the past 3, maybe 4 offensive coordinators I like less and less. So I was fine with it, but if he wants to go, man, go ahead.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't care either way. If he stays, I'm cool with it. If he goes, I wouldn't be that upset. If he goes, I would hope that they promote from within so that Roethlisberger has some say in, the play calling, the offense, stuff like that.
It was nice to see Big Ben spread the ball around in this game, though. Eli Rogers came up with 5 catches for 75 yards, had the big game-winning touchdown in the end. Ladarius Green came up with a big game, and not a huge game or anything, but we called it that he would step back up in this game and do solid work. But he got hit in the head like 6 times in this game, dude.
Oh, he's concussed. He's in the protocol right now.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be playing next week or whatever, or if this guy's ever going to play again.
His career is over.
I'm thinking it, man. I'm already thinking it.
Were you on Facebook? Come on, man. He just banged his head a little. He's all right.
Is that what they were saying?
Oh, yeah. Everybody said he's done.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't go on Facebook, man. I don't know.
Oh, it's miserable. But everybody should come on Facebook to facebook.com/betthespread and check out our content.
I tell you what, Sammy Coates, man, they went at him a few times in this game. 4 pass attempts his way. He only caught 1 pass for 10 yards, but they also ran, 2 reverses with him. I think he lost 6 yards on one of them, but he did have a 15-yard run. They're trying to get this guy back involved, man, because he was such a playmaker at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they figured if he can't catch, they'll just hand him the ball or let him return kickoffs. That way he tries to have some kind of impact, but he can't catch anything right now.
Well, I tell you what.
That some of it's not all his fault. You know what I mean? There's errant passes. I'm not saying he's dropping everything, but it just, for some reason, something about this guy, like he's just not getting the ball to him. I don't know.
Was it this game he had a nice kick return, or was it the week before?
Yeah, it was this game. He had a good one.
Yeah, and Fitzgerald Toussaint was terrible. I'd get him out of there.
Buttery croissant's garbage.
Definitely.
I won't even say his real name. That dude's so bad. I don't know why he's still on the team. Daryl Richardson should be our 3rd running back.
But like I said, man, the defense let up 20 points in this game, but 10 of those points came on 2 penalties, really. But they really didn't get to Andy Dalton like we thought they would. Just 1 sack in this game for 11 yards, but still, Andy Dalton did really nothing in this game.
They hurried him a little bit, though.
Yeah, you're right.
But when Stephon Tuitt going down, it makes it tough.
Brandon LaFell came up with 91 yards receiving, and we mentioned before the game, this guy can have his games. He's not a consistent player or anything, but he comes up with his big games. But I was pretty surprised Tyler Boyd really didn't see no action, considering A.J. Green, who we said may play in this game, didn't play. And Tyler Boyd's been pretty consistent when A.J. Green isn't in there, but just 2 catches for 13 yards. Tyler Eifert, a guy that didn't play against the Steelers the first time around, we thought maybe he could be a factor in this game.
Nope, screwed me in fantasy. Thanks a lot, Eifert.
1 catch for 9 yards. Did you win in
I didn't win. Dude, listen, I went from being the highest scoring team in the league, the highest score the first week of the playoffs, to scoring 65 points.
Yeah, man, it's terrible.
I hate fantasy. That's how I always lose, dude. Brady had 5 points. Rawls had 4 points. Gurley had 4 points. It was just pathetic.
Devontae Adams dropped 2 passes from Aaron Rodgers. Did you play him?
Yeah.
Two touchdown passes from Aaron Rodgers right in his hands. He dropped, and then I seen Adam Thielen. Did you play him?
Yeah. Yep.
He got broke, dude.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Listen, it wouldn't even have mattered. I forgot to play Blau Powell in both leagues. It wouldn't even have mattered. So now I don't even care.
Yeah, he got big points though.
But I'm still in the third place game, so I get my money back at least. If I can beat Spurlick, who has never even set his lineup. So to me, I should just be third place, and he should have to pay, if you ask me.
Please believe it.
Because he hasn't even paid yet.
So who's your offensive player of the game?
Le'Veon Bell. He held the team together. Well, can I give it to Chris Boswell? Because we never have a special teams player of the game.
You can give him special teams this week.
Yeah, instead of an offensive player of the game, I just want to go with Chris Boswell. He obviously had the majority of our scoring. Defensively, I'm going to give it to Lawrence Timmons. He had that big interception. Did you see the tweet from Vince Williams? I can't decipher his exact language that he tweeted it in, but he basically said Lawrence Timmons is going to make him a backup forever because he's so old, but he still balls. This guy, all year long, beginning of the year especially, I thought that there was no way Pittsburgh brings him back. Now, I think if they can get a team-friendly contract, he comes back for sure on like a 2 or 3 year deal.
Offensively, I think I want to give it to Darius Green. He had a good game, man. Eli Rogers is another guy.
He won't remember.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to give it to him, man. It might be his last game ever. This dude was getting smoked in the head, and he was holding on to the ball. And he came up with a big play in the end of the game, a big first down catch. And Eli Rogers, you could give it to as well. He came up with, like I said, 5 catches and the game-winning touchdown.
Eli.
Defensively, I don't know. I like what James Harrison did in this game, so I'll give it to him. He was one of those guys you were talking about that was putting pressure on Andy Dalton. And did he have the sack? No, Ryan Shazier had the sack, but yeah. James Harrison did lead the team with 9 tackles.
Harrison's a beast. I keep saying this old dude's going to drop off, and he doesn't. I mean, he's not Defensive Player of the Year, but he's 55 years old, so it's crazy. Wrap it. Fans, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube and click and subscribe. Don't click it over and over according to Dash, because then it'll just drive us mad.